Some of the topics that I wanted to talk about were how to build a growth culture. Um, my background in IBM, I helped build the Watson growth team. And then I worked to launch, either myself or with my team to launch a series of growth teams. And then I've also worked in individual teams. So kind of had the practitioner, consultant type of experience. And what I really found was so much of the success of the growth team, it absolutely is getting everybody to align around a metric. And I have some scars to show where we tried to tackle a few metrics that didn't work. You really got to do that one North Star metric. But it's also about the right culture, the culture from the top down, making sure the people up at the top understand value growth and are focused on the same objectives. But then from the bottom up, you got to have the right people who are going to drive that execution. And you really got to have both to be successful. And so there's a lot of things that I've learned in working with different teams that will help a growth leader drive the right growth culture. But also on the bottom up, if you don't have that culture, how do you drive that, upwards into the organization? So that's going to be really important. And then the other thing, again, that both Sean and Eric talked about is really some practical advice that I've found to be successful in IBM. And how do you get people started on the right process? If you're starting from scratch, it's really easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but it's easier to build a growth team. But if you have to sort of inject a growth team into a well-established business with cultures and processes, it's a lot different. You're asking people to change the way that they work, change the tools that they use, change the priorities. So it's really important to talk about practically how do you get started, and then even getting down to the level of the tools that you use, and A/B testing and nurture and onboarding. How can you think about building your experiment backlog with some of those tools? So I'm hoping to touch on a few of these topics at a higher level, but then certainly Eric and Sean will be going in much deeper in certain areas. So I think that collectively all the talks should kind of build a really good picture of some of these topics that we've been touching on.